Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and get going. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join me here today, and I want to make sure we get you back to work on time. So we're going to go ahead and get started here and get through the presentation. Um, just because I do want to be sensitive to everybody's time, I am not going to take questions during this presentation. So if you have any questions, please chat them into the box below this presentation on your screen, and I will address as many as I can at the end of the presentation. Or if I'm unable to address them then due to time constraints, or if I just don't know the answer right off the top of my head, we will follow up with you directly via email or phone call to make sure we get that answered for you. Okay, so look for the chat box below this presentation. You should see one there, and you can type in any questions that you have there. Also, I am recording this presentation, and I will send you a recording of the presentation afterwards. So no need to take intense notes or anything like that. We will get you a copy of this, and you can review it on your own schedule there. So that's it as far as logistics. So let's go ahead and get going. Again, thanks everybody. I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to be with me. And today I've got the great pleasure to talk to you about social media marketing. The title of this presentation is Think Social Media is for Kids, Not Business. Think again. Learn the 7 secrets to how the smartest Main Street businesses just like yours are using social media to crush the competition. And I really do mean that. Social media marketing for small businesses has really exploded over the last year, and there's just some amazing opportunities to market your business. And the businesses that know how to take advantage of social media marketing really are crushing their competition. It's just, they get such an advantage over doing social media well that they really can just get a huge head start on the competition. So we're going to pass along information to you today, our secrets on how you can do the same thing in your market and hopefully get a real edge on the competition. All right, so we've got a lot of content. Let's go ahead and get started here. First, I'd like to just make sure that we get a common definition. We all get on the same page here as to what exactly social media marketing is. So here's the definition that I like to use. Social media marketing is the use of social media sites such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, to promote products, events, services, to help you brand your company, to increase market awareness, to reach and engage buyers in the most efficient way possible, and most importantly, to drive more business or increase sales. Many of you still think that social media is just for kids to play around and chat with their friends and entertain themselves. Certainly social media is about that, but it's also one of the most powerful business tools out there today. And I hope in this presentation I can make that clear to you and tell you how you can take advantage of it. All right, so I like to address the who cares question right up front, right? Who cares about social media? Now, if you registered for this webinar, chances are pretty good that you've got some idea of why social media is important for your business. But as I said, there's probably some skeptics out there still in the audience today who still need a little convincing. So I'm hoping that the stats on this slide and the next one should help you. So as you can see, pretty much everyone has a profile on one or more of the social networks. 2/3 of online adults use social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn now. And Facebook alone now has over 750 million users. It's closing in on 1 billion users. And they're not just users, they're actually very engaged users, which I'll show you, but that makes it the 3rd largest country on the planet and over twice the size of the entire population of the United States. It's amazing when you think about it, right? The community that they have created in just a handful of years is enormous and, as we'll see here, very engaged. Not only do sites like Facebook and others have lots of users, but those users are on those sites very frequently, and have lots of connections. And, it really is just this phenomenon that has, taken over the, kind of public consciousness here over the last few years. I mean, it's amazing the amount of news stories and things like that about social media, movies, of course, being made. It really is just amazing. And Americans, in particular, spend an ungodly amount of time on social networking sites. We spend over 50 billion minutes on Facebook in 2011. 50 billion minutes. And hold on here. That was in May alone. That was in May of 2011 alone. I'm going to pause for a second for effect. Just let that soak in. Okay, that's enough. But that is incredible. And in case you don't have your calculator handy, that's over 3 hours for every man, woman, and child in the United States. 3 hours. So it really is amazing how much people are using these social networks. Here's a nice chart showing you how quickly social media is growing in general and how unbelievably dominant Facebook has become with people across the globe. You can see here there's a lot of data here, I know, but starting up here at the top, daily unique visitors. So these are the people who visit Facebook per day, 310 million people. So I told you that they have 750 million or slightly more than that now on Facebook. 310 million of them are using Facebook every single day. Isn't that amazing? Facebook, this is old data, 640 million registered users. It's actually over 750 now. The share in terms of who has the largest social network, you can see here Facebook is really dominant with 63.46%. And then I bet you a lot of you don't consider YouTube to be a social network. And I didn't consider YouTube to be a social network for a long time, but it in fact really is. People really engage with each other on Facebook, or excuse me, on YouTube and share videos with each other. YouTube has a 20.5% market share. So, and you can see this stat down here. YouTube, 1 in 4 Americans watch a video online every day. That's amazing. Here's Twitter users, over 200 million. MySpace, you can see, of course, has died off largely. Was a huge business for a while, but died off very quickly. And LinkedIn is not necessarily on this chart here, but LinkedIn is certainly, I consider, one of the big 3 or 4 social networks now, certainly in the United States. Now, with all of these people on these social media platforms, the question is, can they find you there, right? Can they find you and your business there? And, when it comes to social media and business, I think that there's still certainly some controversy from the business person's perspective about whether or not they should be spending time investing in social media. And there's this, constantly debated point as to whether or not, social media is just a big time suck or if there really is some ROI in it. And, I don't think any marketing medium has been discussed more and debated more than social media. And generally you hear 2 extreme viewpoints. You hear the naysayer and the Pollyanna, right? That's what I call them, the naysayer and the Pollyanna. Let's start with the naysayers first. The naysayers say social media is a fad, it's a waste of time, it's overblown, it's just for the kiddos, it's not for business. And they say, with that kind of stuffy attitude that social media has no place in serious business, right? Well, again, I think that these are truly the naysayers now. I believe that they have been proved wrong. At this point, social media certainly has a place in business. But, there's the other group, the Pollyannas that you've probably heard too, on the other extreme, that, they think social media is the answer to everything. And it's, this magic pill, this silver bullet, or a golden ticket. It's the answer to every question, right? And if you are not spending all of your time on social media, then you're just being left behind. Well, let's get real here, right? The reality is that social media is working. It's working for businesses, but it's not the only thing. Both sides, the naysayers and the Pollyannas, really are too simplistic in their thinking, in my opinion. And it's my bias that the Pollyannas are actually closer to the mark than the naysayers. And lucky for me, the data supports this position, but really, of course, as with everything, there's a middle ground that is usually reality. But let's look at some of the statistics here that strongly support that social media does in fact have a place in business. 63% of companies using social media say it has increased their marketing effectiveness. 88% have indicated that social media efforts have generated more exposure for their business. 73% plan on increasing their use of Facebook. And 90% say social media marketing is important to their business. So, with statistics like that, I think that those go a long way in making the point that, yes, there is a business purpose to social media. And the reality is that social media is a potent weapon that works. But it's not the only thing, certainly not the only way that you should market your business. And, it needs to be wielded with some skill to be effective. You can't just jump in there and, post some goofy things every day and hope that that's going to get big results for your business. It won't. But the big reason to get involved in social media is that customers now want you to have a presence in social media. We are past the phase where it's just this novelty, and it's moved to a point where social media is a part of the everyday consciousness of society. Again, 350 million people on Facebook every single day. They expect you. Look at these statistics. 93% of customers expect companies to have a presence on social channels, and 85% expect companies to interact with them on those social channels. So if you want to stay relevant, you need to be in the conversation on social sites, or you're letting your competitors do the talking, right? So that's up to you. But for me in my business, I'm placing my bets that it makes sense for me to be investing in social media. Again, not all of my eggs in one basket, but I've got to be spending some time here. More importantly, customers are rewarding businesses that do have a presence on social media. Let's just take a look at this infographic here. This is a pretty cool one. People want to talk about your brand. So it's your responsibility to talk with them and give them a reason to say great things about you to their friends and followers, right? And as you can see on the left, those are Twitter followers. Twitter followers, 29% follow a brand, 39% have tweeted about a brand, and 29% have retweeted about a brand. And those numbers are growing every day. And you can see over on the Facebook side, even more active. 58% of Facebook users have liked a brand, 42% have mentioned a brand in a status update, and 41% have shared a link, video, or a story about a brand with their friends. So again, people are talking. The question is, are you going to be a part of the conversation, or are you going to let your competitors dominate that conversation? So there are specific ways that your business will benefit from social media, and let's get into those. And this is not necessarily an exhaustive list, but I think it's a good place to start. One, you can increase the engagement with your customers and prospects. You can get out there and have a real conversation with them. Two, you can affordably boost brand awareness. Social media marketing is one of the most affordable ways to get more awareness for your brand. You can use that awareness to boost website traffic, right? Take people off of Twitter and Facebook and onto your website. You can use it to grow your email list. Email marketing is one of the most effective. In fact, it's the highest ROI per dollar invested of any online marketing tactic. So use it to grow your email list. And just generally, build your influence and demonstrate your authority with your fans and with your audience. Now, other ways that your business can benefit: you can promote events and special offers to your audience. You can use social media to find new customers. Something that's growing increasingly important here is you can use social media to quickly address negative PR. Again, people like to talk about companies in social media, and there have been some real case studies over the last couple of years where the conversation about a company turned negative online in a big way, and the company was not there to respond, and it just turned into this feeding frenzy of ugliness about that company. And then there's been some case studies here over the last year or two where companies have done a really good job of getting in to the conversation, engaging, apologizing for somebody's bad experience, offering to make it right, and we're able to very quickly turn the tone of that conversation in their favor, or at least make it a neutral, and not have this landslide of negativity go against them. So savvy companies are getting there and getting in there and engaging in those conversations. I think that all of this ultimately increases customer loyalty, which is really what you're looking for, right? It costs so much more to get new customers than it does to maintain the loyalty of the customers that you have. And if you're out there engaging with them and having conversation with them, showing them that you're real and that you're willing to listen to them, there's no better way to increase customer loyalty than that. And of course, as with anything worth doing, there are certainly legitimate challenges that you need to be aware of. And identifying these challenges is essential. You want to go into your social media plan with a very clear picture about what the challenges are going to be, so that you can prepare for them and that you don't just end up frustrated in your adventure on social media here. So let's talk about those challenges. First is overcoming cultural resistance to social media. You may be in a company where some of the leadership, again, does not really believe in the value of social media, doesn't think it's something you should be spending too much time on. If that's the case, you're likely to encounter some pushback with some of your team, right? So you'll need to be prepared to work through that. You need to understand that it's a long-term process, and also that you're going to have to come up probably with some good data and evidence as to how social media is working, maybe for your competitors or similar businesses, so that you can do your best to get people on board as quickly as possible. Number two, finding the resources to maintain a consistent effort. Social media isn't something that you can just, post some content, once or twice a month type of thing. It's something that you need to be in there and engage with your audience and working at it each day. So, if you're going to be serious about using social media, you do definitely need to carve out some resources in terms of time and budget to make sure that somebody can focus on it. Three, that the perceived challenges of social media, are too difficult or overwhelming. And I say perceived because getting into social media can be intimidating and overwhelming for a lot of people, especially people who maybe are not too, technologically savvy, maybe not quite as comfortable with computers and what's going on online. That can make social media seem like this kind of strange and foreign landscape, right? With some different norms and some different customs, and people use different, language and stuff online. So the good news is there's lots of great resources out there to help you with your social media strategy and train your employees and things like that. So it really is a perceived difficulty. If you get some good help, it really is not that difficult to get going in social media. All right, fourth is measuring ROI. Measuring ROI is certainly not the easiest thing in social media. It's not impossible, but it's not the easiest thing. So, again, if you have some naysayers or some doubters about the effectiveness of social media, then they're certainly going to focus on the fact that they can't see a real clear ROI. And if that's the case, you do need to make sure that you're set up to measure as much as you can so that you can demonstrate the value. And then number 5, the last challenge, devising a method to the madness. There's so much going on with social media, and it's changing every day. And there's so many different social media properties that it can become this all-consuming thing. And that's not good. You don't want to let it become all-consuming. That's not necessary for most businesses. It should be something that you can carve out just a set amount of time, and really stick to that. But if you don't have a strategy and if you don't have organization and clear priorities, then it can become something where you can just kind of let social media run away from you, and consume way too much time and too much energy. So you definitely want to make sure that you have some organization and discipline to have a plan and stick to that plan. So these are the main challenges. They're totally surmountable, and if they weren't, I wouldn't be talking to you today. But they are definitely challenges that can be overcome and really not that difficult to overcome. So I encourage you, again, to get involved, have a strategy and have a plan and think through these in advance. Discuss these challenges candidly with your team, with your boss. Discuss issues of budget and time and stuff like that, and don't sugarcoat anything. Otherwise, you're just kind of setting up the initiative for failure, from the beginning. All right, that's enough kind of lead up here. Let's dive into the 7 ways you can use social media to dominate your sandbox. All right, number 1, go where your people are. And I know that seems pretty obvious or elementary, but I think that the biggest mistake that businesses make in starting in social media is they just go where they've heard is popular. Facebook is the latest, greatest thing, so we're just all over Facebook. Well, the reality is that any of the major social media networks can serve your business well as long as the right audience is there. But the right audience is not in every social network, right? And people use different social networks for different things. So, as an example, Facebook versus LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is very much considered a business social network, whereas Facebook can be certainly a mix of business, but also, really just something that people use for fun, personally, for pleasure, and connecting with their friends and family and things like that. So the same person may be on Facebook as on LinkedIn or not. Some people are just on LinkedIn, not on Facebook, and vice versa. You need to know where your audience is. Where are your customers spending time? And what are they using the social networks for, right? Because you want to meet them where they currently are. You can put together the best marketing in the world, and if it's to the wrong audience, it's not going to work. So don't spend time where you don't need to spend time. Find out where your customers and prospects currently are and meet them there. So, that's an important point. But look, no matter what industry you're in, and no matter what product you sell, and no matter how old your customer is, I think that's an important point too, because I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, my customers are, baby boomers. They're not on Facebook." Not true at all. In fact, the senior age groups are the fastest growing age groups in Facebook. So I would encourage you that every product or service has a potential marketing opportunity in social media. I have yet to find a product or service that cannot benefit from having some sort of presence in the social media networks. Okay, so don't have the "my customers don't do social media" attitude. That may have been true 5 years ago. It is not true now. You can look at the statistics about who's on Facebook, and it really is a microcosm of the world. Every age group, every ethnicity, every interest group, they are on these social networks. Okay, so meet your customers where they are. They are out there someplace. All right, strategy number 2 is to proactively cross-pollinate. And what I mean by that is that you should use your offline and online efforts together to complement and boost each other. They'll both be more effective when you use them together. All right. So here's some examples. On the left-hand side, you've probably seen these table tents, right? Table tents, those little paper pop-ups that you see sitting in the middle of a table at a restaurant. That's a great way to promote your social media presence. So if you have some sort of retail presence like that where people are coming in and sitting down, put these little table tents on there and promote your social media presence. In the middle is someone's email signature. And that's a great way of getting people to your social sites. I mean, most business people now are sending hundreds of emails a day. You might as well use them to get exposure to your social presence as well. And then finally, on the right-hand side, this is an example of a retail store, like a coffee shop, promoting their Foursquare presence. Foursquare is an interesting social network, and they're using it to promote their Foursquare presence online. Right? You can see there it says free Wi-Fi, and it says Foursquare mayor drinks for free. If you're not familiar with Foursquare, if you check into a business more times than anybody else's, more times than anybody else, then you're the mayor of that business, and a lot of businesses will give you prizes for that. So this doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to require a huge investment. Just set up these basic systems to cross-pollinate and bring your offline customers, your retail customers, your real-world presence customers into your social media world, and then use your social media world to get them back to your retail presence, all right? So take advantage of cross-pollinating as much as possible. All right, number 3 here, strategy number 3 is to use fan gating. Okay, fan gating, if you're not familiar with that term, it's displaying certain content only to users who like your Facebook page, or you can use this in other social media networks as well, but it's creating some sort of content that's kind of a members only content, so that it encourages people who are not yet fans to like your page in order to unlock the content behind the tab. Okay, so you can create some sort of offer or incentive that's for fans only to get them to become a fan and therefore build your community. So here's an example from Dr. Pepper here, right? So this is an example of fan gating. As you can see, they've got, here, let me just get my mouse up here. You can see they've got Cooking with Dr. Pepper, and they've got a like button here. If I am not yet a fan, then I will see this button. And then it says right here, do yourself a flavor and click the like button to see what's cooking on TV 23. So it's like they've set up this little Facebook TV channel type of thing where, I don't know exactly what it is. It's like they're going to teach you how to cook with Dr. Pepper or something. I don't know. Anyway, if you're a Dr. Pepper fan and you come here and you see this, oh, wow, I want to see what's cooking on TV 23. So I go up here as my big red arrow pointing to my like button, and I go up here and I click my like button so that I can get this additional content that's behind this page. So that, again, is fan gating. It's a really important strategy if you want to build the number of fans that you have quickly. All right, strategy number 4 is to collect email opt-ins. As I said before, email is the highest ROI activity that you can engage in, marketing activity that you can engage in online. It's something like a $40 return for every $1 spent on email marketing. It's really amazing. Now, you should always be building your email list and your customer list every single day. Most businesses do not focus on this nearly enough. And social media is a great way to do this. On your social media pages, you can have people opt in to your email list, and again, use some sort of incentives to encourage them to do that. So you could say, hey, opt into our email list here, and we're going to send you special promotions, special coupons in email, right? So social media is a great way to get people to opt in and build your list. This is from Crocs, Crocs shoes, if you're not familiar with them. And again, they're giving some holiday hot picks and best prices and stuff like that. You sign up, you click like above, you enter your email and name and stuff like that, and now they've got you on their list. so that they can send you promotions during the holidays. All right, strategy number 5. Run social promotions and contests. Okay, social promotions and contests. Now, remember that earlier stat that I shared with you that people want to engage with brands online. 85% expect companies to interact with them via social channels. And sweepstakes, contests, surveys, things like that, promotions of various sorts are a great way to do that. And the numbers prove that engaged customers and prospects buy more. So the more that you get them engaged and interacting with your brand, the more that they are likely to spend. Okay, so here's a promotion from Sony, and this is so important. I got to stress, using social promotions just really is a fantastic way to engage with your audience and grow your business. This is a neat example. Sony is giving away a product a day. So you see here, we love our Facebook community, and we want to thank you all for the spirit you bring to this page. To begin to show our gratitude, during the next 40 days, we'll give away a Google TV Blu-ray disc player every day. Okay? And of course, how do you have to do it? You have to enter in your email address and you have to like the page, right? So does this work? Well, look over here. 2,175,000 people like this. 129,000 people are talking about this, which just means that they're promoting this giveaway a day to their friends and family on the social network. So, shoot, yeah, it works. One of my favorite companies, GoPro, they make cool little digital cameras that you can mount everywhere. They started as they would mount these cameras on like surfboards because they're right in the Bay Area in California, and they go surfing. So they mount these cameras on surfboards so that you could take videos of yourself surfing. So they're these waterproof, rugged cameras. And they give away a product every single day. Actually, they give away one of every type of their product every single day. And that has been huge in growing that company. And that company over the last few years has grown from a startup to several $100 million in sales. Really is a neat success story. So these promotions really, really do work. All right, number 6, and this one is very important. Be real. Be authentic. Be yourself. Be consistent between your offline persona and your online persona, right? I think so many people feel like they have to be somebody different online, and I think that backfires. Or they feel like they have to be really business-like if they're representing their business in the social media environment, and I think that that's wrong as well. People want to connect with people. So even though they're connecting with your business, they want to connect with the people at your business. They want to know your story. They want to know that you're human, and they want you to engage with them one-on-one. So, really, really important that you be yourself on social media and that you embrace your audience and connect with them at a real human level. I think the more personable you can be, the better. Even if you're, it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in. I think the more personable, the better. This next one here, number 7, point number 7 is to diversify. Diversify. So there are, again, lots of social media channels. And of course, Facebook is the gorilla, but YouTube is also huge, and video is just a fantastic way to market any business. So really, really encourage you to get involved with YouTube and to create video content for your audience. But consider using multiple social media sites. Your audience typically is using multiple sites, and they're using each site in a little bit different way for a little bit different purposes, and you can find a way to fit your business strategy into those to make sure that you're kind of hitting them from different angles and giving them multiple opportunities to engage in your brand. So again, you don't need to be everywhere. In fact, you shouldn't be everywhere, but you need to be where your audience is, and that is, kind of a dynamic thing. I mean, sure, there's the big ones. There's, Facebook, and there's YouTube, and there's LinkedIn, but, as of the time that I'm creating this webinar, Pinterest is just exploding, right? If you're not familiar with Pinterest, it has gone from nothing to just a massive, really engaged audience overnight, and shows no signs of slowing down. So businesses that figure out a strategy for Pinterest right now are going to have a real leg up on the competition that is not familiar with Pinterest and not getting in there. So, keep your eyes open for this stuff and look for different ways to diversify and engage with people in different ways. All right, finally, a bonus strategy here is to advertise on the social networks. I tell you what, the social networks have the most incredible advertising platforms, and it's an amazing opportunity for businesses to really target their market and do it in a really, really cost-effective way. I mean, you can target very locally. You can target to specific interests, right? Because everybody puts their interests into their Facebook profile and LinkedIn profile. So you can target people that have certain interests. You can target people that are just at certain businesses. You can get really, really focused with this, and it's very, very affordable, much more affordable than most other marketing channels. And every major social site now has an awesome advertising platform. They're very easy to use. And you just really can't fully comprehend the power of them until you get in there and experiment with them. So if you're not doing any advertising on the social networks, absolutely get in there and give it a shot. Every business should be taking advantage of this. Okay, so those are the 7 secrets of social media success, plus the one bonus secret there, just to make sure you get the full picture, all right? So now let's change gears a bit and talk about some of the common questions and concerns that I get from businesses about social media marketing when we're helping them with their social media strategy. First is, how much time will I need to spend each week on social media? And I thought this was a good data point here from the Social Media Examiner. 75% of businesses are spending as little as 6 hours per week and saw increased traffic because of it. So 6 hours per week is not a ton. Very part-time role for somebody, right? And yet they're still seeing benefits. So this definitely does not need to be a full-time job at most smaller businesses, right? Larger businesses or businesses that are very social media focused, of course, can become a full-time job, and you can have teams of people. But for most businesses, this is something that can be done, very part-time. All right, next, how much time will I need to invest in social media to see a payoff? So this is another good data point from Social Media Examiner. Just getting started, 25% saw new partnerships form. New business opportunities, new partnerships with other companies, whatever, just as they were just getting started. 80% saw new partnerships form within 3 years. So that's just a sign of how quickly social media will pay off. It is something that you can get an ROI on very quickly and very clearly. All right, next, which social media platforms should my business use? Talked about this before, but look at where your users are. Do a survey of them and find out where they're spending their time. Look at where successful competitors are. If you know of some competitors that are successful using social media, then look where they're at, and that's probably a pretty good indication. One trick that is really helpful: use the search function on a network. All these social networks have search functions, so you can do a search on certain keywords related to your industry or your products, your marketplace, your types of customers, and you can get a sense of how many of them are there and how active they are. And again, consider using multiple channels, right? Don't limit yourself to just one. Next, how can I avoid the common mistakes that businesses make? So, one, as I said before, have a plan, have a strategy, think through what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and how you want to accomplish it, what kind of resources you have, who on your team is going to participate, all those things in advance. Get that plan on paper and stick with it. That's, I think, probably the most important thing. Next, don't obsess with social media. As I said, social media can be a runaway train. If you don't have that plan, you can just spend all day and all night and just engage in social media. Don't do that. Don't obsess over it. It's not so important that you have to spend every second of every day in there. 3, engage and promote. Okay, engage and promote. You want to you want to make sure that you are active enough on the social network to actually engage your audience, and you want to make sure that you're doing some promotion, but not too much promotion. So if all you're doing is promoting and you're not really engaging with your audience, then that's a problem. People are going to tune out and they're going to quickly, you're kind of breaking some social media norms there, right? So you want to engage first. Make sure that you're spending quality time engaging with your audience, and make sure that the promotion is no more than, a quarter of your time, a quarter of your posts that you're putting up there. Number 4, talk with and not at your audience. Engage with them, right? Be human, talk to them, have a back and forth with them. Don't just post content out to them and then not reply. And then number 5, no interns, no nepotism. A lot of people tend to just dismiss the effort that it takes to do social media well. And so they'll just put an intern on it, or they'll put the boss's teenage daughter on it, or, whatever it is. And they won't really treat it as a strategy, as a strategic opportunity. You need to treat this like a real business advertising campaign that's being seen by the world. And you need to have some consistency and some professionalism about it. Okay, so don't just dump this on somebody and not treat it seriously. All right, what to consider when evaluating the efficacy of social media. So how do I know if I'm actually getting something good out of it, right? 1, it's bigger than sales. Okay, so the benefits of social media may not just be directly tied to your sales going up in this next month, right? It's bigger than that. It's generating word of mouth for your business. It's strengthening brand loyalty with your customers. It's finding ways to add value to your customers and to your prospects. So these things can be hard to measure, but that doesn't mean that they're any less important. And you really need to think about, what is your strategy? And if your strategy is to just drive more sales, well then, you've got to be real clear about how you're using social media, and you've got to understand that, you might be breaking some of the norms of social media, right? Because people typically don't want to just be promoted to in their social media networks. They want to have some engagement with you. So consider all of the other benefits that you can get for your business and how those can positively impact your business, and try and find a way to measure those. All right, so let's start to wrap things up here. I want to close with the point that social media isn't going anywhere. It's not a passing fad. It is here to stay. It is a part of the public consciousness, and there's a conversation that's happening online, and more than likely it's happening about your business and about your competitor's business, and more people are joining in. 53% of people on Twitter recommend companies and or products in their tweets, and the average consumer mentions specific brands over 90 times per week in conversations with their friends, family, and coworkers. You should be a part of that conversation. If you are not, you are clearly missing an opportunity to market your business, okay? You can do this, and we can help. I know for a lot of people, where to start with social media and how to execute a good strategy can seem overwhelming and complicated. I get it, been there before, and have helped a lot of businesses through that. So if you would like any help with this, we would love to help. We have services and programs to help businesses like yours take advantage of social media. So certainly, if there's anything that you feel like that we can do for you to help you, please do get in touch. Our contact information is on this page, right around this presentation, our email address, our phone number. So please do feel free to get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. All right, let's go ahead. I did get some questions here that I think I can address before we wrap things up. We are getting close on time, so I'm just going to handle a few of them here. Let's see here. One of them. So my friends say that Facebook is the only social network that matters now. Well, there is some truth that social media is Facebook is huge in social media, right? So massive numbers, massive reach, incredible advertising platform. Certainly, I think that just about everybody should be on Facebook. But is it the only thing that matters? No. For lots of businesses, LinkedIn is incredibly powerful. Lots of businesses do very well with Twitter. So again, it really is about where's your audience and how can you successfully engage with them. Let's see here. When bidding in Facebook. Oh, this is a good for anybody who's actually done some Facebook advertising. When bidding in Facebook, you're presented with a price range, a bidding range. Which part of the range should you use? Should you bid low or bid high? Great question for anybody who's running campaigns. I suggest that you bid high. There's been some data that has shown that if you bid on the high side of the range first, then your ads are much more likely to show. You kind of getting Facebook's attention. And then you can test slowly scaling back that price and seeing how that impacts the deliverability of your ads. Okay, so that's what I would suggest. Let's see here, fan gates. How do you set up a fan gate? Good question. It just involves a little bit of programming or a little bit of using some certain tools to create a page on your Facebook account that has that functionality. It's certainly something that we can help you with. And if you did some searching online, you can find some information about that as well. Let's see here. What are the best ways to get more fans? That's a great question. Getting fans, getting people to follow you, whether they're fans on Facebook or, people following you on Twitter or LinkedIn, whatever it is, there's a couple of things. Or a handful of things. One is you've just got to be active. You've got to be active on the network, right? The more active you are, the more content you're putting out there, the more likely people are to find you, right? So just be out there, be active, and be engaged. And actually, being engaged is different than just being active. Being engaged means that you're actually having conversation with people through social media, and that's really important. So again, don't just post at them, but actually engage in conversation with them. The more compelling content that you can create, the better. So if you are able to write some interesting reports or create some interesting videos that people want to watch, things like that, then you're going to get more people attracted to your content and sharing your content, which is going to increase your fans. And then finally, doing things like fan gating. Fan gating is really, really important because it gives somebody an incentive to like your page, not to just come to it, right? So that actually helps build your network. Lots of strategies around how to get more followers and fans, but those are some key points. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're getting to our time limit here. I want to let you all get back to work. I do appreciate the time. And again, if there's anything that we can help you with, please do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you and love to see if there's an opportunity to work with you. But take care. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule. We'll send you a replay on this, and any questions that we didn't get answered, we will get in touch and address those directly. Thank you so much, and take care.